So in this video we're going to look at how we solve equations involving brackets. If you haven't already, it's important to watch last week's video where we looked at how we solve both one and two-step equations, because that's going to be very important after we've multiplied out the brackets. Okay, so if we look at the questions prepared for us here to work through as examples, they're all done in a very similar format, and the first thing we're going to do is, when we're trying to solve any of these, is we're going to multiply out the brackets to get rid of them. And again, that's also important why you've watched the previous videos on algebra as a whole, because you need to make sure you've watched the video on how we expand / multiply out brackets in an expression, because the same rules are going to apply here. Okay, so if I want to get rid of this set of brackets, I have to multiply both terms that are inside the bracket by the term that is outside it. Okay, so I'm going to multiply both x and 4 by the 2 that is on the outside. And remember, it's called multiplying out, expanding the brackets. Okay, so if I multiply 2 times x, I get 2x. And I multiply 2 times 4, I get 8. And everything within this so far is positive, so again it all stays positive. This plus stays the same. Okay, and is equal to 12. We haven't done anything with the right hand side yet. Now, what we're left with here is a very simple two-step equation. And if you remember to the video last week, two-step equation, therefore there are 2 steps to solving it. We're working backwards. We want to get x on its own. So that means when I talk about getting it on its own, the left-hand side is over here to the left of the equals. The equals is the middle, and this is the right-hand side. And we want to keep the equation balanced. So when we're getting rid of both the 8 and the 2, whatever we do to get rid of the 8 and the 2, we also have to do to the right hand side as well to keep it balanced. Okay, so I'm working backwards. I want to get rid of the 8 first, so to get rid of plus 8, I minus 8, and remember that is important also from last week's video. If I want to get rid of a plus 8, I minus 8. Whatever I want to get rid of, I do the opposite to do so. If I'm taking away 8 from the left hand side, remember I have to take away 8 from the right hand side as well. And just keep in mind, when I talk about left and right, I'm talking about either side of the equals. Alright, so what I'm left with now is 2x plus 8, take away 8 is 0, so it's gone. That's why we took away 8. 12 take away 8 is now 4. So now I'm left with one step to solve, where I need to get rid of this 2. Now this 2 is multiplying with the x. The opposite of multiplying is dividing, so I'm dividing by 2 now. So I divide by 2 on the left hand side, but remember I must divide by 2 on the right hand side also. So 2 divided by 2 is 1x, which is just x. 4 divided by 2 is just 2. Okay, so x is 2. Now again, and what I advised as well is that we always check our answer, so x equals 2. How I can check my answer is by substituting back in to the original equation. So if I replace x with 2, what I end up with 2 upon 2 plus 4 equals 12. So this should make sense. Okay, so BIDMAS means our order of operations, which we do what's inside the brackets first. Again, another video to have a look at to make sure you're familiar with the rules of BIDMAS. 2 plus 4 is 6. Remember, what's outside a bracket we multiply by what's inside it. 2 times 6 is 12. So that makes perfect sense that this would equal 12. Okay, so that's how we check our answer as well. Moving on, next question, the next example is done in a very similar fashion. So firstly, we're going to get rid of the brackets. We're going to multiply both these terms on the inside by 3, because 3 is what is on the outside. So 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times minus 4 is minus 12. So just be careful of the signs of multiplying a positive by a negative, so it becomes a negative, or it stays as a negative in this case. Okay, is equal to 6. We haven't done anything with that right hand side yet. So 6x take away 12 equals 6. I'm working backwards. I want to get rid of the minus 12 first, so I plus 12. I have to do the same on the right hand side also. So I'm left with 6x minus 12 plus 12 is 0, so it's gone. 6 plus 12 is 18. And then lastly, let's just get rid of this 6. So to get rid of multiply by 6, I divide by 6, divide by 6 on the right hand side as well. So 6 divided by 6 is 1x, which is just x. 18 divided by 6 is just 3. And again, let's just double check. Okay, so 3, 1, 2. X is 3 this time, so 2x. 2 times 3, take away 4. This should all equal 6. Okay? So, let's do what's inside the bracket first. 2 times 3 is 6, take away 4 is 2. 3 is outside the bracket, 3 times 2 is 6. So again, that makes perfect sense when I'm checking my answer. Okay, so x is 3 in that case. The last question again is just to cover this where it becomes a wee bit tricky where we're multiplying out with different signs. Multiply both terms inside the bracket by minus 2 this time. Okay, so minus 2 times minus 2x. So a negative times a negative becomes a positive. So again, just remember that. And 2 times 2 is 4. So it's a positive 4x when I multiply the first term. Minus 2 times plus 4. A minus times a positive gives me a minus. And 2 times 4 is, of course, 8. So I get minus 8 equals 20. Now we're left with our two-step equation to solve. To get rid of minus 8 plus 8. Okay, plus 8 to the right hand side as well. Got 4x now. Minus 8 plus 8 is 0, so it's gone. 20 plus 8 is 28. And then I want to get rid of this 4. So it's a multiply by 4, so I divide by 4. Divide by 4 on the right hand side as well. So 4 divided by 4 is 1x, which is just x. 28 divided by 4 is just 7. Lastly, I'm just going to check my answer. Again, this type of thing can help you just improve your mental maths as well. So it's a tricky enough sum to work out, but we should end up with 20. Again, if you're doing this as your M1, 2, 3 or 4 exam, you can literally just plug this left hand side into the calculator and it should give you out the correct answer. But just for a wee bit of practice, minus 2 times 7, minus times a positive is a negative, so minus 14. Minus 14 plus 4 is minus 10. So we've got minus 10 inside the bracket. So we've got minus 2 times minus 10. A negative times a negative gives me a positive. 2 times 10 is positive 20. So again, that works. Okay, this last one is a tricky enough question. Okay, and I will give you some questions of this nature to practice. If there's anything you're unsure about, just ask, but realistically the questions that I will be giving you is to try follow a very similar format. So multiply out the brackets, you should end up with a two-step equation. Solve just the way we solved two-step equations in the last video. Getting rid of this term on its own first, and then dividing to get rid of the term that you're multiplying by. Okay, so 3 steps essentially to solve these types of questions. I will later look at as well how we tackle equations that have unknown values on both sides, so x's on both sides, as well as unknowns on both sides and brackets. So as you can see, we're building up to deal with those trickier types of questions. But anything you're unsure about, just ask.